Yervant,
Ashish.
what's going on, brother?
Oh, a lot, brother, a lot. Where should I start? How are you?
Well, I think let me first introduce you to everyone who's going to be watching this video. Ladies and gentlemen, kids, this is Yervant Megeurditchian, one of my very close friends from Los Angeles. Yervant is a thorough creative. He is a musician, an architect, and probably a lot of other things that I can't recall right now. But the two things that always stood out when Yervant was around me in Los Angeles was he was always making music, he was always smiling, and he was always talking about something related to architecture. So I'm so glad, Yervant, that you have joined me today to have this conversation. I was really looking forward to this.
Thank you for the generous introduction. And I was looking forward to this as well. And yes, let's talk about stuff.
Absolutely. So you recently moved to Spain from Los Angeles for studying, right?
I did, to Barcelona, Spain, to be specific. I moved here to study, to do my second master's. It's more of a postgraduate in advanced architecture at IAC, which is short for Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. So, and here I am. I've been here for the past couple of months, and it's been pretty intense. It's been nice.
Yeah, I think you were telling me you've got like 5 courses this semester, along with a part-time job in a new country.
Part-time. I'm still working with my office in LA because they couldn't let go of me, and it's always like good to keep one foot like in the industry. And then here it's basically like 5 different courses related to computational design, interactive environments, like a studio project, more on the theoretical side of things as well, like an expansive theory, and what's the 5th one that now I forgot, but another 5th one in there.
Lots of cool architecture stuff, basically. So I think
very interesting stuff. Yes.
I think I'm going to use this interview to actually learn more about you, because all I really know is that you are obviously an amazing musician and an architect. And within the world of architecture, you're very fascinated by concepts like parametric architecture and building products and services around circular economy principles, which basically the combination of those two, in my understanding, promote a self-reliant, self-sustainable world of the future where we're not reliant on traditional resources that are not good for the environment, but essentially moving away from that and trying to build a more symbiotic relationship with nature, right? Is that the idea? Is that the high-level idea?
That is the high-level idea. That's totally right.
I didn't butcher it.
Yeah, so I mean, the paradigm of architecture is changing from the accommodation of program to the accommodation of ecosystems. So, and rather than working with topology, which was the case back in the day, where like the form of the building mattered more, and now the discussion is basically ecology. And the structure or the building is not seen as what it is anymore, but it's seen as what it does. And so basically it has a purpose, and it has like more of an augmented performance, more than just being a shelter, whether it be for living or for working or for whatever other activity that it can hold. So, I mean, the mission, I guess, for all of us, you and I, and a lot of like-minded people, like our friends or like my community here in the university and all of that, is our mission is preserving life on this planet, right? And living in harmony with nature, and making sure that as human species, we're gonna survive. We're not gonna go extinct, because the planet is gonna be fine in the end, but we might not be fine if we continue doing the things that we're doing. So, and our shift should change from sustainability more into a regenerative mindset. So we need to transform our thinking from like, how do we do less harm to our environment, to like, how do we give back to the environment?
That is an interesting if I could quickly point out, that is an interesting term you use, that not only do we need to be thinking about sustainable practices in everything that we do in terms of a lifestyle, but regenerative practices. So that word was emphasized very heavily by one of my friends. His name is Rajnush Agarwal. I'd love to introduce you to him at some point. He is running a farm here in Jodhpur based on regenerative practices. So his idea, so he educated me a little bit about on that term, and he told me that essentially the idea is that we're giving back into the system. In his case, I guess the system was like the farmland, where he's not only using sustainable practices to farm, but he's also like using practices which increase the output of the farm. And that's kind of what regenerative sounds like. Do you want to like just educate me a little bit more on what that term is?
I mean, it's exactly that.
Okay.
And it's because we're at this point in like our advancement or our evolution where we really understand nature, we really understand how things work, and we're at the point of like we're manipulating nature. Like, we're not just ruled by nature anymore, we're kind of ruling nature in a way. So we can manipulate this in a way where we would have an abundance of everything around us, rather than just extracting and using and making and wasting, and just like we can create more abundance. And the key to that lies also in circular economy, where like it's not about the linear economy anymore, which like the motto is to take something and then to make something with it and then dispose, and like that generates a lot of waste. But in circular economy, it's more about how like make and remake, use and reuse. So it's basically like a model of production and consumption, which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, recycling, and all of the R's, all of the R's. So that plays into it as well. So yes, like, and that's why it's the same in like between sustainability and regenerative thinking. It's the same between linear economy and circular economy. So like we are shifting our thinking into creating more closed loop systems in everything we do, like whether it's building, whether it's farming, whether it's like doing business, whether it's whatever, like designing something, in everything, just creating closed loop systems and circular economies to minimize our waste, to minimize extraction, and to use all of our resources to their fullest potential.
Amazing. I find it very fascinating, and something that I really admire in you is that you're again someone so passionate about these ideologies and these philosophies, and you live out these values by taking drastic steps like, oh, I'm gonna move away from Los Angeles, a city that we all love, and go to Spain and bust my ass off trying to learn about circular economy principles and take 5 courses in a semester. Like there's no other joy in life that you can like seek here, right? So I mean, this seems to be your jam, which is something, you know, I love. The idealism that you exhibit through your actions is something very admirable. But again, like for the audiences, you know, sustainability, regenerative practices, recycling, refurbishing, circular economy, all these things, I think that these are concepts that have been around, right? And it's in theory, they are beautiful to discuss and very meaningful to discuss. But I think now is probably a good time to maybe point in the direction of your Medium article, which is where you actually dove deeper into like a practical use case of a structure or a product of architecture that you would like to get behind. And I think you called it a mixed use development in the heart of London, the Smart Hub. The Smart Hub.
Yes.
What was the inspiration behind that? And what was like the thinking process? And how long did it actually take you to do all that research in that article and make it?
So that took me about 3 months to do that project with the research and the design and all of that. And it was actually part of an online like 6-month course I was taking last year out of India. It's called Smart Labs, done by Red Lab Education, where they teach computational design. So the idea was they just wanted us to create an office building in London, and they gave us like 70% of it should be offices, and then the 30% of it, we were free to do whatever we wanted to do.
Could be apartments or
whatever.
just
You can
art
choose 30%
galleries.
of it, anything you want,
Okay.
anything you want. So this was an amazing opportunity for me to start infiltrating my ideas
Yeah.
into the project, and it's something I wanted to do for a while. I've had sketches of it, of like an aquaponic vertical farm building in the middle of the city. Like I literally had a sketch lying around my desk for like 3 years maybe that had this concept on it, but I never had the time to make it into something, you know, because there's always a lot going on. So this was a good opportunity to implement those ideas into the project, and just to take it one step back and like, why that project? Why did we wanted to integrate an aquaponic vertical farm within a building? So first, like, I believe the way forward lies in the best use of the latest tools and technologies that we have, and combined with time-tested and proven low-tech methods that we have, like the aquaponics, for example. It's not really anything technological. It's just using the waste of the fish to feed the plants as nutrients to grow them organically. Literally, that's it. Like, there's nothing technological in it. So the idea is how to combine these high-tech methods and with the low-tech methods to create closed-loop systems to achieve like high levels of self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and sustainability in the city. And and the idea is also like, to achieve this, we need to decentralize and localize important aspects of our basic needs, which are the energy and food production, which is the waste management, which is the water treatment. So, and to basically like answer all these questions and kind of like try to be part of the solution of some of the contemporary problems that we have, such as the problem of agriculture and farming. It's such a huge, I mean, people think that going vegetarian or going vegan, they're doing good for the environment, but they fail to see that how bad the agricultural system and the industry even is on nature and on the planet. And that's like, the problem is that it is nowhere near sustainable. There's like, it causes a lot of natural land depletion, causes desertification, it causes the killing of millions of unwanted species around the crops, this and that. So plus it's very expensive water-wise. Like, it requires a lot of water to grow food outside. So the solution was, why not bring the food production close to where we live, first of all. Also, in that way, we can cut down the transportation and the fossil fuels that go in transportation, and like all the plastic boxes that require to move the food around from one place to another, you know? So like, there's so much in it that's not really considered usually, because we're not part of the process. We don't really see it. So we're not really, I don't know, kind of like educated about it.
I'm not sure if the farmer is going to be pumped about this, but carry on.
I mean, the good farmers, the organic farmers, the small scale farmers, like, they're all good. And like, especially the permaculture farmers, those guys are doing well. But when I'm talking about agriculture and farming, I'm talking about large scale monocrops, basically, which is the agriculture industry in like, as big corporations. I'm not talking about the smaller organic farmer or the permaculture farmer. But so bringing the food closer to where we live, and using like a vertical farming system where everything is pretty much optimized, where you can decrease your water usage up to like 90%, And you're using this closed loop system between the fish and the crops to get natural nutrients out of the water. And the only problem with this is, of course, you cannot grow every kind of food like this, but whatever you can grow, mostly like leafy greens, smaller fruits, this, that, it's whatever we can grow in this way, it makes so much more sense to grow in this way and leave the stuff that we can't really grow in this way to be grown outside, wherever, like in the land. And yeah, that's a quick overview of the project.
If we can get the heirloom tomatoes and some basil leaves, some
Yes,
cheese and bread and some olives,
that's
some
all you need.
balsamic, I think I'm pretty solid.
Yeah, some za'atar.
Some za'atar. I think that would make a good combination for a vertical farm.
That's a good breakfast, and the
That's
group
great zero carbon footprint.
Yeah, perfect.
But the farmers are not going to be bummed about this. That much I can tell you. But I think the whole, obviously the philosophy here is that to promote sustainable and regenerative practices of doing agriculture. But again, I think the article goes beyond just this, right? So it's like multiple closed loop systems over there where you're securing energy from the sun into the solar panels that gets converted into electricity and can be stored in batteries in the building, or can be sent back to the grid. You know, just how traditional solar panels work. In my hometown, solar panels are a huge success, and a lot of people have adopted them. I told you about that. And then this, among other things, you're, apart from the vertical farms, you're also talking about, securing all the organic waste in the building and putting them into like these biogas digesters. Tell me more about that, because I just saw a Kickstarter for a product like that, which I think is an amazing product to have for any house. It feels like.
Yes, definitely. So, like I said, in the 21st century, the building is not only what it looks like from outside. It's not just a shelter. It's basically, like, you can call it as a production plant. So it should be doing way more than just being a shelter and just being a concrete block or wooden block or whatever material block that you want it to be. That's why the integration of this closed loop systems, like you said, the solar panels, the storage, the algae system, the rainwater harvest, the filtering, this, that. So to talk about the biogas digester, which is part of the project as well, it's basically a biogas digester. It's an anaerobic digestion where it takes organic waste and it gives you two byproducts, which is one, the liquid fertilizer, and second, methane gas. And you can use that gas to make fire, like cook with, or you can use it to transform it into energy, electricity. So, and this is also like a very low tech, how do I say, like low technology, where it's used mostly like in rural Africa and rural Southeast Asia. So there's nothing technological about it. There's nothing, it's a passive system. So you put in, and the idea was in our building, you put in since there's food production and there's also like the fish, and obviously the fish are gonna die at some point, this, that. So like all the waste, so like the dead fish, all the waste from the food production, all the waste from the restaurant and the lounge that are also in the building would go back into the biogas digester. And in turn, that biogas digester is going to create energy, which is going to be used for like cooking or whatever. And it will create a fertilizer, a liquid fertilizer, that it's going to go back into the food production system. Okay. So like from the waste of the food, you're creating fertilizer for the food. And the cycle is repeating and repeating over and over again.
I think it's a great, this article in general is just a great example of using circular economy principles to build like an architectural product. In this case, it being this smart hub building based in London downtown, it seems like, right? So you've got the solar panels as part of one circular loop. You've got the organic waste getting converted into biogas, which is then being used into gas and methane in the form of methane to cook food and whatnot. As another one, you've got rainwater harvesting going on, and you've got the vertical farms going on. So it's just a lot of, like, I like how your brain works when you're making your architectural products. You're just constantly trying to figure out these regenerative loops, which I think is definitely the need of the hour, is to just, you know, be in a more symbiotic relationship with nature. And I hope like these ideas pick up shape in like you know, everywhere around the world. The other day I was speaking with someone and they happen to be of the opinion that climate change is probably something that is being blown out of proportion, and sometimes, you know, it's like just the whole hype around it. You know, people who lean in the opposite direction compared to you, right? Based on,
I'm in the middle. I don't have any opposite direction.
yeah. Oh yeah, so maybe you're also not
I'm in the middle.
yeah, which I think people who are in the middle, the middle of the political left and the political right, I think they are crucial to actually make progress. Because if you're on like extreme ends, there's just no way you can have a conversation, right? It's the
We need more
centrist.
people in the center. We need more
Yeah.
people in the center.
Well, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. So just thinking like centrists, you and I here, right? In this moment, at least, if we were to sell this vision to someone who is not so pumped about sustainability and just a non-believer of climate change, if you will, right? There's still some value in these ideas, because I feel like all the work that you guys are doing, and you know, architects like you are doing, they're very aesthetically like strong, right? And everybody loves nature around them, because who doesn't like plants, man? You know, so
I don't know.
so I feel like, you know, if the value proposition for that crowd could be that, hey, you can also save money if we build these structures in a way that also like cost efficient. So I mean, it would be crazy to come up with a vision that solves all these problems of self-sustainability, self-reliant lifestyle, and also is cheap, right? That's like, maybe sounds like the holy grail of architecture right here. And so I know that you and I have been talking about this project quite a lot, which I think I just hashtag it as say no to 30-year mortgage, right? And it sort of was inspired by my own struggle of being young and being in a relationship and having this desire to like settle down in a house, you know. And I feel like a lot of young people go through that, and I feel like young people deserve to get married if they believe in the institute of marriage early on in their lives. Oftentimes what stops them from making that decision is just, you know, financial and career stability, right? And so, you know, the need to move around for sustaining a job. I mean, hopefully with what's happened in the pandemic and the aftermath of the pandemic, you know, remote work will continue to pick up, and there's going to be more opportunities for having good jobs outside of big cities through remote work. But then, you know, I feel like all the knowledge you're gaining, it would be amazing to apply all of it in like a community that's maybe suburban. So the land is cheap, right? So there's a real estate developer who's got like the cheap land. And then we've got construction builders, right? People who know how to build houses and structures, right? They meet with someone like you who's got this vision for like this smart community where there could be like 30 houses, and each house would be less than like a 10-year mortgage to buy, equipped with, you know, all these circular economy inspired closed loop systems or rainwater harvesting, solar panels, maybe even vertical farming. I don't know. You tell me.
Maybe.
How does that sound to you? Because I think we're going to solve the aesthetic problem. We have an opportunity to solve the problem of, you know, having young people buy houses at a younger age without getting into a huge mortgage, and then also promote circular economy principles and living in a more symbiotic relationship with nature.
Yeah, that all sounds amazing. I would love to do that, and I would love to take this research, which is part of what I'm doing here in my school, to take this research towards creating living spaces around these philosophies. And it can be done. It just you need the people who believe in these ideas. You need the people who care about the environment, who care about nature, who want to move forward with like their lifestyle and like the way they see things and the way they do things, because it's a bit of a lifestyle change living in a place like that, you know. And then in the beginning, the technology, it's still a little bit expensive because it's still the early days of technology itself. Of course, there's going to be a bit of an overhead cost like in the beginning, but this is something that on the longer run, it's going to save you money. It's going to save everyone money, because you're cutting down that constant like payments of every month that goes towards energy, towards food, towards like whatever, like everything you're creating a loop for it, a closed loop for it in your structure. Then you're basically cutting out all the payments that are going to come years after you do it. So initial, a bit of an overhead cost, but on the longer run, definitely saving money. And there's a lot of studies about this. There's a bunch of buildings around the world that are like, let's say, LEED Platinum certified, or even Living Future certified. And the people are doing it. There's a small percentage of people and real estate developers and architects who are taking these ideas and making them a reality. And that's definitely part of the community I want to be in the near future.
That's beautiful, because, you know, just to wrap this conversation up, because we don't have a whole lot of time today, you know, what I envision is someone like you who just has such a great aesthetic for just physical structures and just, you know, architectural products, if you will. Like, I'm just looking at your specularium page and everything that you've designed over there. I would love to have something like a park like this in my city, right? So I feel like this smart community, I'm fascinated by this suburban smart community that is designed by you and has the aesthetics that you have, and it's based on circular economy principles, and it's something that we can sell to even a non-climate change believer, because say to a 30-year mortgage, you know.
Yeah. We gotta fool them with the aesthetics, you know, like we give them really nice aesthetics. They're like, okay, we'll take it.
No, I think it's just, you know, I'm sure I'm sure, like, you know, the pandemic has been like proof enough that we've been abusing nature quite a lot. So I'm sure there's, in general, people just gaining more awareness about climate change and the repercussions.
Yeah, we've been not just abusing nature, but also like we've been kind of separated like we separated ourselves from nature for a long time, you know. And we need to, first of all, we need to like change our mindset also, that nature is something else and we're something else. We are nature, we are it, like we're not different. Yeah. And that's why we need to invite nature back into our cities, because as of now, it's just a bunch of concrete jungles, our cities, like with like a few trees here and there, you know. So invite nature back to our cities, back to our buildings, back to everywhere, and turn our cities into like huge bioregional regenerators, let's say. And yeah, we also like need to move away from this dualistic like conception of our surroundings, that like, okay, this is the natural environment and this is the built environment. This is a park, this is a building.
Interesting.
But why not bring those together as well, which is what I'm working on my project right now.
Hey, one good example of that is the street dogs outside of my house, who don't let me sleep in the night, but they look so cute in the morning when I'm walking down the street, that I don't complain too much, because the street dogs, the stray cattle, I don't think I have a problem with that in India. I think it's good company. We definitely have some sort of a symbiotic relationship with them.
Perfect.
Closed loop systems of the trash in the house, the organic trash, some of it at least gets back to them. They're happy campers. So it's just a funny side note. It just made me think about how we can increase the eco-consciousness of people. But do you feel like plant medicine could be like one of the answers for raising eco-consciousness of people? Just, I guess, a bit of a tangent, but not really.
I mean, it could be when it's, I think, it's done the proper way with the proper intentions. It can definitely change some lives for sure, for the better.
Okay. Well, we will rest that conversation on this point, but thank you for sharing it. Before we move into the final section of the interview, for just 1 second, I've had such a great time talking with you today, and I want to request you to drop into your flow state, like a state of mind where you're one with nature and nothing matters, right? You have, I want you to answer this question, whatever comes to your mind, with all your heart, all right? And the question is, if you had no fear of failure, no fear of judgment from society, no fear of being able to make rent, which dream would you turn into reality?
Oof, I have so many dreams, but let me tell you, if nothing ever mattered, I would just like drop everything right now and go live up in the mountains in the forest.
Okay. All right, living in the mountains in the forest. I guess that would be something.
Just get a small plot of land, start farming, creating some vertical farm structures, creating a couple of cabins, sustainable cabins, and just chill out.
Make some music?
Make some music, make some art, and make some architecture also. I love to work, but yeah, I think I will never stop working, honestly, or like never stop making music or art. That's something, whatever I am, I would still do that.
Well, that's a beautiful vision. I believe it will come to reality, because if there's someone who can make this happen with all the knowledge base you have at your young age, Yervant, I think it's you, right? And I would love to join you. Maybe there's like a SpiceTech forest studio that we both are like, you know, basically using for this vision, right?
That would be nice. Let's do it.
Okay, brother.
Down in Kerala.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, then, like, finally, you know, thank you for your time. But before I let you go, do you mind sharing some of your reasons behind why you decided to support this project? You've been one of the more generous donors of this campaign, so I greatly appreciate that. Tell us a little bit of what made you decide to make the generous donations that you did and support the project.
Yes, of course. You guys deserve all the best. You guys are my friends and my brothers, so that's number one. And I believe in what you are doing. I believe in feeling the flow, and I believe, like, I really love this entrepreneurial spirit that you have, and this like courage to just like jump in head first into something that, I don't know, like very like just something that you wanted to do. And like I know you from before, it had nothing to do with what you used to do before, kind of. So it was very courageous for what you did, and I saw you guys during the process. I was there, I guess, like most of the time. I saw what you guys were doing, what you were going through, and how you're doing it, and it's just all of it is very inspiring, and it's inspiring to also try to put those guys like Kenton, let's say, or like everyone who is involved in the movie, in the production, to like put them out there also and like make their voices heard. And yeah, everything is straight. I believe in the idea, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I donated. That's why I encourage everyone to donate, and yeah, that's basically it.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing that. I really hope we get to do a part 2 very soon. But you know, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I will keep you posted on all the progress, and wishing you the very best in Spain. I hope you learn a lot of things. I hope you make a lot of friends. And if you haven't found love in life already, I hope you also find love in life during this time in Spain. Have a wonderful time, brother.
Thank you, bro. You too. We'll talk soon.
Okay, Habibi. Yalla.
Yalla, bye. Chalo.
Chalo.